Welcome to the Local Marketing Source Weekly Update, brought to you by localmarketingsource.com. This update is taken from the Local Marketing Source Professional Development Program for local marketers.
This week's Local Marketing Update is brought to you by Scott Gallagher. Scott is the co-founder of Local Marketing Source and has become the recognized expert in providing online marketing services to local businesses. Follow Scott on Twitter @ScottGallagher5 and on Facebook.com/ScottPGallagher.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Scott Gallagher here with Local Marketing Source, and we are bringing you our local marketing industry update. Now, next week's LMS faculty call, member call, is going to be the 1st of May. It's hard to believe that we're already in May. Just 2 days ago, we were getting snow in Chicago. It was amazing. We didn't have snow on the ground. It was still green until January 30th of this year. Bizarre. Well, this week is going to be a great week. We've got some good updates, a couple of good tips to be able to go through, and the LMS membership provides access to these weekly calls, live questions at the end of the calls, some additional updates during the calls, access to our private Facebook group, over hundreds of different videos, and document management to go along with that. Now, this week's update, we're going to cover how Google has made some changes to their search engine results page, and they've pulled a few little tricks away. We'll have to understand that a little bit about and how that applies to a search engine marketer. Different predictions coming from Google and what we're going to see in the next 12 months. And finally, some discussion about Google's birth date for Penguin. Not a very busy week this week in terms of updates. But for the tips, last week we were talking about video number 4. I've been naming 5 different videos for tips for a local business to create. And today we're going to talk about video number 5, the last of the 5 videos that you would want to have on your business profile. And video number 1, we talked about it for a while and how to create it, but we called that a walkthrough. Number 2, testimonial video. Number 3, you take your core product or your core service and you have what's called a technical overview. Video number 4 is taking your company and having a commercial overview. And now finally, video number 5, want a personal message from a top officer, owner, or CEO of that company. We'll talk about that and how that works. And the local internet marketing agency tip for LMS members. We're going to have some discussion on the mindset that makes online marketing work. This could be a webinar in itself. The keyword being marketing and understanding the mindset that you want to be able to have go forward and moving that. And I believe about 90% of the people are really missing that mark. Now, the LMS member Facebook group has been pretty busy this week. Last week I had the privilege of meeting a local marketing source student in my office, and we pulled the camera out and created a webinar, which is now going to be available for LMS members. I'll get that posted into the group. It was great, one-on-one. We talked for an entire hour back and forth about different aspects of a local business and his marketing agency, and he just quit his job in the last couple of weeks. He's been a student for several months and finally quit his 6-figure full-time job to conduct internet marketing locally for his own self. It's pretty exciting. But there's been some good questions as well, and the same member, now that he's active, he's been asking about different software that's being used. In some of my material I talk about Web SEO, and he sees that we're using a product called Bright Local now. He asks why, and of course there's some good feedback into the reasons of that. And when you go and watch the SEO sales trail video in the LMS forum that teaches you how to sell SEO, along with a couple of other videos, we cover the process of creating pain, agitating that pain, and providing relief to a prospect to sell them the services. In essence, it's just old school business-to-business solution selling. Now, I said I was going to talk about video number 5, a message from the top officers, CEO, or owner. And this is a short 2-minute video that could be created one-on-one. You may want to attach yourself a lavalier mic that I have right now. The audio is a little bit better. Or you can pull the audio out and just use it on the phone. If you just want to hear the difference in the audio of having an attached lavalier mic, let's hope I don't screw up my recording. And I will do this. Just give me 1 second. And I am going to make sure I pull the right one out. And you should be able to hear me through the microphone that's built into the camera right now. And it's not as good of a quality as you can tell. The problem is you start to hear echoes and whatnot. And I talk about the quality of audio as I push this back in. Now with video, one thing that's really important for video is lighting and audio at the end of the day. And if you've got good lighting and you got good audio, you can make a good production. You know, you're watching this through a DSLR. It's not even a video camera. Mind you, it's got a fantastic lens on it and it's good. $100 lavalier microphone that's plugged in, 25-foot cable, just a couple of shop lights that were bouncing off the ceiling, nothing too fancy. Simple green screen behind me that's just green fabric built into a wood frame. And on the other side of my green screen, I've actually got a big old whiteboard, and whiteboards are also very expensive. So you use shower board from Home Depot, and anyhow, that's another story. But just to be able to put videos together, it's not that difficult. And the message that you would want to convey from a top officer is really you're depicting culture, okay? And you're also depicting or demonstrating an image, a real person behind that business. And you have options. You know, you can pull out a teleprompter and use a script, and I assure you that a script is not going to work very well. It's very, very difficult. It takes tremendous practice to be able to properly read a script and get that delivered as if you're just speaking those words. But you definitely want to have an idea, and you want to understand, you want to talk a little bit about certain items like the locality, the location, the local aspects. I'm so-and-so, we live here, we're located here, you know, we understand this particular culture or the weather, or relate something that has to do with the local aspect of that particular business, as well as the general culture or the philosophy of that business. You know, what do you predicate? Are you, you know, we're a laid-back marketing agency. We don't wear suits and ties. We don't shave every single day, but we have fun in life. We enjoy life, and we like to do a good job and have fun of doing what we do when we do our job. Dentist, you know, what are some of their philosophies? Or a chiropractor, you can have a pain specialist chiropractor or a wellness chiropractor. In any event, 2 or 3 minute video to put it together, and it's not that difficult. So our first update this week, Google has pulled related searches from their SERP. This was a really nice feature to have as an SEO because you can find related keywords. You could still utilize that functionality in Google Webmaster Tools, so it hasn't gone away. You could also use the, you know, the Google Pinwheel to get related searches and whatnot, but that feature is pulled away, and it's pulled due to lack of usage. 6 predictions from Google. Eric Schmidt, Google's CEO, and every year they just talk about it. We should probably look back at what he had to say last year and see how well it came to fruition in 2012 and 11. But online education and everything that we're talking about, what you're watching right now, I mean, I see it myself with a new smart TV in my living room, the ability to access digital content. It's really intriguing to be able to produce video, get it up there, and easily access it through your living room, your bedroom, obviously your office, your mobile devices. But we also see that this online education and privacy aspects of that are also going to be taught inside schools. And on the children's side of things, online privacy has got to come into our education system, just like with sex education. It's something that's very, very important. I've got a 15-year-old daughter, and they say the average teenage American sends 3,300 text communications a month. That's over 100 communications a day. 100 a day. It's unbelievable. And since we understand and we know the different ways to influence human behavior, where text only represents 7%, when you send somebody a text message, that means 93% of your ability to influence their behavior is being swayed one way or another without that 93%. And 50% of their communication is done via that 7%. Well, how is that developing our culture? How is that going to create proper relationships and have good understanding of different types of relationships? This has got to be taught to our teens, and hopefully that we'll see in the future. News organizations. We're going to see a big change in news organizations. I mean, it's been within the last 2 years that breaking news information, where does it come from? Where do you see it first? You know, we just had the Boston bombing. Where was the first place you saw that? I know. Facebook for me. Facebook probably for a lot of people. It was not CNN. So they're going to have to really rethink themselves and you know, collaboration. I mean, what are news organizations in the first place? Really can think about this. All they did was go out and collect information from different sources and bring it all together into one. See my point? Online and digitally, it's the human value that's going to be involved. It's the human ability to go and find those unique stories that get buried among all the real-time stuff. News organizations that are going to develop a culture around them, around, you know, positivity and whatnot, are likely going to thrive. Cloud storage systems, again, are going to continue to rise. I mean, it's very clear to say that cloud-based computing is 100% of the future. We're not going to be storing our digital media on our devices. We're not going to be running our applications. It's got to be that way. It's all a matter of control. It's a way for these corporations to monetize the whole system, the way apps work versus programs on computers. It's a whole different world. The data storage, data transfer, and especially with this new CISPA. I forget what CISPA stands for, but it doesn't matter what it stands for because it's very, very scary. Basically, it's an amendment and written that allows government and private party to communicate information about terrorism, about terrorists if they've got it. And it all sounds good and dandy. But written in the code, and a lot of big companies have jumped on board for this because it's a big deal. It's not very good at all. And essentially it allows private enterprise to give governmental information at any given point in time. So in other words, I'm a green card holder, which means if they ever wanted to find anything else about me, they can run a keyword search on every single email of mine, every single social network post that I've ever put up there. And you get all of that intimate data should they choose. If you have nothing to hide is a big argument, don't worry about it. You know, I get that. I have nothing to hide either. But it's just the concept that there's a certain element of privacy, and I don't let the authorities into my home without having good reason to. It's not like they can just walk into my house and check stuff out at any given point in time. And one another point, you know, Eric Schmidt goes on to say that next year, in the next 12 months, we're going to see a lot more crime on the internet from terrorists shutting the internet down or whatever they're trying to do. And the last update before we get into the mindset of an online marketer that I'm very excited about is happy birthday to Google's Penguin update. Dun, 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 dun. Came out last year, a year ago today, along with the Penguin and Panda update. It all came down to spammy content and whether or not you were paying for links. And that's why I'm going to talk about the mindset of the online marketer. If you could just give me 30 seconds, and I'll be right back to get into it. This is exciting to talk about this one. Give me 1 minute or 30 seconds. Well, the mindset of an online marketer. It was several years ago, in about 2007, that the light bulb went on for me. And you see, I got myself a marketing degree, went into business-to-business sales, opened a marketing agency in 2005, begun to grow it, website development, got good at SEO, outsourced it in my first year. Second year, I realized right away that this was not a business model that was sustainable. I had to get the control myself within the company and understand exactly how SEO worked and delivered it ourselves. And by 2007, after studying it for a little over a year, I started to get some results. Started to get a little bit good at it. But there was a lot of things that didn't make sense, and I thought, you know, one of the strategies back then were open up all these bookmarking accounts and go and bookmark your sites and bookmark them as much as you can. Okay? Go and write an article, put it into some special software, it will spit out 10 articles, take those 10 articles and then go and distribute it to 200 sites each. You now have 2,000 links coming to your site. The more links, the better it is. Oh, okay. Take one video, create that video, or then you take that article, turn it into a PowerPoint presentation. Take that PowerPoint presentation, talk over it, you now make a video. You now have video content, okay? Take that video content, put it into this special button, and we will rename the video 4 different times, put 4 different types of extension on it. We will upload it to YouTube today. We'll upload it to YouTube with a different name in a week, and we'll do that for the next 6 weeks. So you take one video, you put it into 4 formats, you upload it 4 different times. You see what's happening here? 4 times 4 is 16. So you now have taken one video and you've got 16 different pieces of exposure that's on there with different titles and this and that. And then you put a link into, and then you keyword stuff, and you get more links and you get better exposure. Okay, so you do all these things. Why, if I do all these things, Google is going to choose to rank me over here if I only do all that same stuff just once and put it in a one spot? But it made no sense. There's no marketing behind it. There's no relevancy to taking that article and going and putting it onto a Yahoo site that resides in China and is read by Taiwanese people. There's no value in that. There was no understanding of how a search engine could really credit these websites. And from a business perspective, how is that good for anybody? And so I started to really scratch my head a lot in 07 and really start to ask a lot of questions. I went against the norm in the SEO community. And while everyone else was just doing this and doing that, there were certain strategies that I looked at and I said, well, let's just try this. You know, we don't want to do any social bookmarking. That makes no sense at all. 2009, they came out with a no follow aspect. Do not get links that don't have no follow. Don't waste your time on the social networks. Don't waste your time on any Web 2.0 sites because you don't have no follow. Don't waste your time on Wikipedia. That's what the SEO community said. Don't waste your time on no follow links. That makes no sense to me. It made no sense that they got the no follow to a certain degree, but it made no sense that a search engine was not going to provide credit if I had exposure. And so if I'm a local business and my local business is being talked about all over Facebook because I'm doing a great job and offering great people, it's going to get recommended in the real world. So why doesn't a search engine recommend that? Makes sense, doesn't it? Search engines really just want to mimic what humankind would really do and what they would say is the best. If there's 2 websites and 100 people like this website and 1 person likes this website, or 99 and 1 will say out of 100 people, which one of the 2 should Google recommend if they're both centric around a specific keyword? Likely this one. So SEO really is just marketing. I mean, that's the mindset. It's a really simple mindset. And if we go to the American Marketing Association and we get to definition of marketing, it says creating content that has value for users, customers, prospects, and society at large, and then distributing that content into areas of relevancy for that audience in question. That's what SEO is. It's creating content, whether it's an article, a press release, a movie, a video, and distributing that to areas. You're going to distribute your video to channels, share them, try to share them on social groups that are relevant to your local area or your industry. And that's internet marketing. That's search engine optimization, excuse me. I don't like the word search engine optimization because it's a manipulation of, the mindset is a manipulation of what exists to satisfy the needs of a computer algorithm. Okay? That's the mindset of SEO. But the mindset of a search marketer is what I've described, is creating content of value and distributing it to valuable areas. Manipulation, value. Well, that comes to the conclusion of our weekly update, our tips, and our member call. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye for now, everyone.